Okay, look, we all know who this guy is. This guy is Albert Einstein. Quite a bit of a smart fella, really good at maths. The E equals the letter between D and F. Now, Albie is not a DC. In fact, he's the opposite of what a DC actually is. And at this channel, we have a name for those people. They're called Dilberts. Dilbert Neinstiens. And in this episode, we have a perfect example of one of these Neinstiens. And here he is right here. This Neinstein's called Zach. And what's happening right now is one of the reasons why he is a Neinstein. You see old Dilbert here, he's already committed the murder, which we will get into shortly. Now, this interview takes place in jail where Neinstien is awaiting his trial date. And what he's doing in this interview is he's trying to convince the news crew, and by way of them, all of us, that he's completely innocent. Now, here's the thing. He's had months to prepare this lawless story of his to give at this interview. Except there is just one major flaw in his plan. And what's that flaw? Well, that's simple. He's a fucking Neinstein.
Friday night I did come back over. My grandmother called me and told me he couldn't get a hold of my grandmother all day. I can't remember if this is Friday or Saturday. I'm thinking it's Friday. Friday or Saturday.
Dilbert Neinstien.
I'm trying to think.
Jesus, don't do that, Dilbert. That's what got you here in the first place. Anyways, more of this Jenious' interview at the end of the episode. Now, let's get into that backstory. Now, this crime takes place back in 2009, a place called Marion County. And this is our Vic. Her name is Doris Babcock. And she's one of those lovely people that we need more of on this planet. Kind of lady who saw the best in everyone and wanted to make this world a better place. And back in 2009, she was living with this fella. His name's Cecil. Now, I don't know much about Cecil, but he must have been alright because he was married to Doris. So, how did lovely Doris meet up with our Neinstein? Well, that happened about 4 years earlier, you see, back in 2005, where Doris came into contact with our DC when he was about 15. Now, he was having a bit of a bad time because he didn't really have a Whanau and was being passed around foster homes and kid institutions and whatnot. And Doris saw this, and having a big heart, she said she wanted to make his life better. She decided she wanted to give this kid a real chance at life. A better life anyways. So our DC went to live with her and Cecil back at their place in Marion County. And she treated our DC like he was part of her Whanau. She would call him grandson and he would call her grandma. Now we're going to jump forward about 4 years to 2009. It was around this time our DC started nicking things and stealing shit. So he was moved out of the family home and put up in his own apartment. Now Doris is still looking after him, but just at a distance, that's all, because she loved him, because she had a big heart, because she was a lovely lady. Now let's go see our Neinstein. Now, sometime in November, our DC was talking to a female. It's probably the first time he was actually ever talking to a female. Anyway, he was bullshitting to her about this and that, and he hit her up and asked her out on a date. And she must have been pissed and really nearsighted and didn't have any glasses on because she actually said yes. And he was like, what? Holy shit. And she was like, yeah, and threw up all over the cat because she was still pretty fucking wasted. Anyways, so he says, yeah, okay, cool. I'll come pick you up in my car. And she went, yeah, cool. And then threw up again. Now, here's the thing. You see old Jenious here, our Neinstein, he doesn't have a car, but he does know someone who does. And that brings us to the reason of why he killed her. That was the motive of him murdering Doris. Because he knew that she wasn't going to let him borrow her car, so he killed her so he could take the car and take out his blind paralytic girlfriend on a date. Told you he was a Neinstein. Anyways, so our DC comes up with one of his genius plans, and then he goes over to Doris's house and puts that plan into action. So he murders our lovely Doris. Now, of course, it's a hell of a mess. So now that Neinstein's now murdered Doris, he grabs a truck. So after he's gone and taken his blind date out on a blind date, he's shot back to Doris's place to carry on with his genius plan, and that is to drag all the evidence outside, throw it in the back of a burn pit, and set it all on fire. Now, while he's doing this, he hears an old rap at the door. So being a Neinstein, he gets curious and wonders, I wonder if that's for me. So he goes and opens the door, and it's the cops. And they've come round because old Cecil's made a call to them and asked them can they pop round to his place and check on Doris. So the cop hits him up and says, "Hey DC, what are you doing here?" And DC replies, "I don't know." So the cop asks him, "Oh, can I come in?" And of course DC goes, "Oh yeah, of course you can." So the cop goes, "Cheers, mate." So the cop pops in and starts snooping around. And lo and behold, he starts finding stuff that looks sort of suspicious and all part of Gilbert's plan. You see, he finds huge chunks of carpet which have been ripped out of the floor in the lounge and the master bedroom. Now, he also sees what looks like blood splatter all over the walls, but what he also sees is a paint tin with a paintbrush and newly fresh paint painted onto the walls, some of it covering over these what look to be blood splatter. So he hits up old DC, and DC's like, oh, I don't know. Now the cop also notices Doris's car keys on the table and then Doris's car out back. And that's when he notices the burn pit. So he rocks on over there and goes, "Oh, it doesn't look too good, eh?" So what he does is he calls on the CSI team. And then the cop gets a call, and it's old Cecil, and he's checking up. And the cop tells him, "Oh yeah, I'm at your place now, mate. Doris is not here, but old Neinstien is." And old Cecil's like, "Neinstien? Neinstien shouldn't be there." So anyways, the cop goes up to Neinstien and says, "Hey mate, do you mind emptying your pockets out?" And of course, being the genius that he is, he does. And in his pockets are all of Doris's credit cards. That's not good, eh? So the cop hits him up and goes, "Hey Neinstien, why have you got Doris's credit cards in you?" And old Neinstien goes, I don't know." So the cop goes, "Let's go down to the station for a bit of a chat, eh?" And that is where we are right now. So now we get to the part of the interrogation of our Neinstien. This is where we get to see the individual brilliance of this DC. And the cop, this cop is in a league of his own. Now I'm going to cut up this interview just to the best parts because a lot of it is just really boring because Einstein's really boring. But what we'll start with, is this. So first up, we have what usually happens with these DCs. The detective gets them to sign their rights away. And as DC's doing this, the cop notices that there's something on his hand. It's a burn or something.
A burn on the tip of that one?
And Einstein replies brilliantly,
"Is that how you got the burns, was starting the fire?"
No, that one there is from the fire. That's, yeah, these aren't burns, these are cuts.
Cuts from a knife. Oh dear God, genius. You know there has to be a thought experiment with this Neinstien. And here it is. This cop is about to ask our Neinstien where he got the cuts on his hands. And the the thought experiment here is, how many of you subbies would have thought of the answer that this Einstein comes up with? Because I'm thinking it's probably not too many. But yeah, just shoot us your answers down below in the comments. I'd be interested to see if anyone actually did think of this. So let's get back to it in 3, 2, 1.
All right, tell me about the cuts on your hands.
Here we go.
Cuts on my hands, that was, basically I was cutting a shark. And I had a knife and went down. I didn't have any gloves on, and first of all I didn't know what I was doing. And I sliced him open.
Okay then. How many of you guys would have thought of that one? I was just gutting a shark and was stabbing it repeatedly, multiple times while it was on the ground. And yeah, that sounds reasonable. Well, reasonable to a DC Neinstien. Anyways, for crying out loud, who doesn't fillet a fish like that? Oh, this part is brilliant. This part is brilliant. You see, the cop needs DC to say that he started the fire. Because, you see, if he started the fire, then he must have known that she was in the fire. Because it doesn't mean that someone had already burnt her and I'd come along afterwards. So, yeah, it wasn't me. He's got to get him to say that he started the fire.
So you gathered up the garbage and started The fire?
No,
There wasn't a fire already going, you started the
I
fire.
started the fire.
Oh, Neinstien, fuck, you're a genius. Anyway, so the cops get a call from CSI, and CSI say, hey, she's in the fire. So the cop knows this. Now, think about this. What would your reaction be if someone says, you put your grandma in the fire? I'd take it probably wouldn't be anything like this.
Listen to me. I know what's in the fire.
What's in the fire?
She's in the fire. Okay?
I didn't put her in there.
Gold. This genius is pure gold.
Started the fire.
I threw freaking, it was like 3 or 4 bags of garbage on there and lit it up. That's all I did. I didn't put her in there at all.
And now we're about to see this cop go on the offensive. And this is one of the reasons why I really like this cop's style.
Zachary, I want you to do the right thing right now.
I didn't do it.
I know you're looking straight at her face.
I didn't do it.
I know you're looking straight at her
I
face.
didn't do it. I put those 3 bags on top of
And the
the
reason why you cut your fingers was because you were trying to drive that knife right through her body. And the knife stopped and your hands kept going and sliced your fingers open, Zach. I'm not an idiot, Zach.
No,
I need you to do the right
not what
thing right
happened.
now, Zach.
that's not what happened.
Now this is real cool. This is this cop making up his own rules in the way in which he interrogates someone, because you won't have seen what this cop does next in very few interrogations. Not like what this cop does. Watch this line of questioning.
Did she beg for her life? Did she ask you to stop? Did she ask you why? Did she look you in the eye while you were pushing a knife into her and say, I forgive you?
Oh, bro. Boom. Take that, you pathetic piece of DC Neinstien. Take that in your face.
Is there something she did that caused it?
She didn't do anything
Was
to me.
this self-defense?
That lady has took care
Was
of
this
me.
self-defense?
That lady has taken care of me for
Then why
4
would
years.
you do this to her?
I didn't do anything to her.
That's right. That's right, you DC bum. She gave you that Whanau. She gave you that chance, and look what you did to her, you fucking pathetic DC Neinstien. And now we all know who you are. A waste of space.
How many
No, I
times
didn't.
did you stab her?
I didn't stab her.
How many times did you
I
stab
did
her?
not stab her. I did not stab her.
What did you do to her then? Did
I
you
didn't do
strangle her?
anything to her. You need to stop doing this.
I'm not doing anything, Zach. I'm
Yes,
asking
you are.
for the truth.
By the way, if you're ever in an interrogation, don't ever say this.
You're not going to get the truth
Oh, yeah. Don't ever do that.
because I've already told you.
Oh, I love this cop's take on the read
Never
technique.
thought you don't.
No, they don't. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
She said God loves you. What did she say? What did she
Questions
do?
hilarious. That's what.
They're not hilarious.
Yeah,
They're
they
dead
are.
serious. I'm
No,
dead serious.
that lady is the nicest lady you'll ever meet.
Then why did you kill
I
her?
wouldn't kill her. That'd be the last thing I'd do in my entire life.
And now that Neinstien has completely run the gauntlet and has come out of ideas of getting himself off, he now changes tactic and goes on the attack. Watch this.
Prove it. Prove it. I killed her. Prove it. You're so on. You. I can't even.
I believe that's the only truthful thing that he said in this whole interrogation. In fact, I know it. Yeah, it's true. He can't even think. And now what we get to see is old Dilbert Neinstien here try to explain all the blood all over his jeans.
Hers, or is that going to be hers?
It's not blood. It's not blood. That's dirt. That's not blood either.
What is that?
It might be blood.
It might be blood. Zach.
It
it's
wasn't
blood.
me. On
Her
the
blood's
damn
all over
floor.
the floor. Her blood's all over your pants.
So what? Doesn't mean I killed her. That doesn't mean I dragged her in the fire.
So thank you for telling us, DC, that you didn't carry Doris into the fire. You dragged her. I'm telling you, it's J for genius.
That doesn't mean I burned her.
You're not even a good
Prove
liar.
it. I don't care. I know my rights. I don't have to tell you a damn thing.
And that's right, old Neinstien, he knows his rights. And he's not going to say a word right after he's just told them everything.
Why am I still here?
Because you're under arrest.
Well, then arrest me. Listen.
I'm telling you, you're under arrest. The handcuffs don't mean anything. I'm telling you, you're under arrest.
Good.
You're not free to go. You're not going home. Do you understand that?
I bet you I am. Because I didn't do a damn thing.
Them's pretty big words from a genius. Anyways, it all gets a bit too much for him, so he wants time out.
You want me to give you a couple minutes?
It ain't gonna change my mind. I just want to be alone. Thank you.
Now we get to see this intelligence at its limit. The old genius here thinks he's alone and starts trying to get rid of the evidence on his pants while the cops are in the next room watching and listening.
I got blood there. I got blood on the shoes, man, because I was all up in
You see, one of the reasons why these DCs are Neinsteins is because they think they are Einsteins, and they're not.
I want a lawyer.
You can have a lawyer. You're still.
You don't have a right to take any of this without my
Zach.
lawyer or a lawyer being present.
Zach,
You're not taking any of my clothes.
I'm gonna take
No,
your
you're
clothes.
not.
Zach,
No, you're not.
And it never works out for the Neinstein. No one, there's a whole bunch of big white guys in that jailhouse that all have grandmas. So then the old cops come in and they seize his clothes and take lots of photos of him and his very tiny penis and then get it all ready for court. And what the cops also do is they get warrants for DC's little house. And when they get there, they strike fucking idiots gold. You see, old Neinstein here is like that last guy. He's one of those geniuses that has to write everything down. So they find a whole bunch of these notes. And on these notes, these lists of what to do, each one of them start with kill Miss D, steal her truck, go see blind, deaf, dumb, drunk chick. Pure Neinstein material. So then Neinstein's rotten in prison for about 11 weeks. But then he comes up with a genius idea. He thinks, I don't want to rot in prison all my life. I want the death penalty. So he thinks, I'll confess as long as I get the death penalty. And the cops go, yeah, okay, Neinstein. Yeah, we'll do that. Just tell us what you did. Now listen to this genius try to sound sorry.
I already know the evidence that's against me. I killed somebody. You're gonna kill me. I still do not understand why I did what I did. My mind's wanting to tell me greed, but I honestly haven't figured it out in my head why.
how many times do you think you stabbed her?
She came out of her bedroom. I was waiting right there out of her bedroom. And it was once. And she fell to the ground.
Oh, what an Einstein.
And I didn't want it to be like pain. I didn't want it to be painful. I didn't want it to be slow.
You got to give him that, eh? He really is so thoughtful.
So now you got a dilemma. You don't want to ask Miss D to use the car because she'll probably set down. So you're fighting yourself internally back and forth. I know what I got to do. I don't want to do it. I know what I gotta do, I don't want to do it. So finally, it's getting close to time. You gotta make a decision. So you get one of the kitchen knives. You wait.
Excuse my laughing, but it's just funny how the way my brain was thinking at the time, and I can't help but laugh at
I'm describing
But
it
go ahead.
pretty accurately.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
More better than I can. You're helping me understand too.
So now we have to remember that this is a DC and they're prone to genius ideas, and this genius comes up with another one. Yeah, old Neinstien thinks that now he's not going to get himself killed or stay in prison. He's going to get out. He's going to beat the charges. So he thinks that he's going to convince everyone out there by giving a live TV interview. Oh my God. All I can say is, thank the devil for you, Neinstien. Thank the devil for you.
This isn't something to joke around with. This is something serious. Plus my grandmother's dead. Somebody deserves to pay. The right person deserves to pay.
And by right person, he means me.
Not somebody who didn't do it.
And by someone who didn't do it, he means anyone but me.
Can you think of a reason why someone would want to kill your grandmother?
I don't know anything. I don't know any reason anybody would want to kill my mother. or my grandmother. She didn't have any enemies. She kept to herself, It was just me and her there. And
now he gets asked, why is it that he moved out of Doris's place? And he doesn't say for stealing. Oh no.
And I kind of decided that, maybe, I should move out. Maybe it'd be a new start. I get SSI. I get food stamps each month. So I moved out. My grandmother, which is dead, I guess.
It's the only guess he gets right.
She helped me move out. She helped me get my power turned on. She helped me get my stuff that was currently at her house out. The woman cared about me more than my own parents did. And she helped me move my stuff over. I got moved in. But anyways, Thursday night is we got Cross Brand Cowboy Church, which is in Williston, Florida.
Okay.
And I was at my house, and we were waiting for my food stamp card to come. So my grandma said, if it doesn't come there, I'll just pick you up for Cowboy Church. And we can spend the night. Friday night, I'll take you home after we go grocery shopping after you get your food stamp card in the mail. So Thursday, I spent the night. We got my food stamp card in the mail. Went shopping, went home, and that's the last time I seen my grandmother. Friday night, I did come back over. My grandmother called me and told me he couldn't get a hold of my grandmother all day. And I can't remember if this is Friday or Saturday. I'm thinking it's Friday. Saturday.
You went back on Saturday.
I'm trying to think.
Well, when you got back there.
Basically, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday. Now I've got my memory all clogged up. But what had happened is Thursday, went grocery shopping. Friday, it was about evening, 2:30, 3 o'clock. I did go back. My grandmother took me grocery shopping, took me back home. And my grandfather, I guess, tried to call her that day and couldn't get a hold of her. And then Saturday, too. And I'm thinking it was Saturday night.
I did tell you that he's really boring.
I got that confused. I think it was Saturday night is when I headed back over. Got a friend to drop me off, because my grandpa called me and told me he couldn't get a hold of her. Didn't see her. He's a road truck driver. He couldn't get a hold of her. He called the house phone, the cell phone, and I told him that if I got the chance that I would get a ride, go over there and see what was going on. Got over there, didn't see anything out of the ordinary, except for there was a couple things. The Jeep was there. My grandfather, when I told him that if I possibly get a ride going out there, I told him it'd probably be Saturday or Sunday, which I don't know. I would try to get a ride out there, and it ended up being that night. I got a ride out there, and I didn't call him back to let him know, but I did call him when the cops got there, and I told him that I did get a ride out there. And basically, the cops came out there, and I guess they found suspicious things that I didn't see. But the credit cards or whatever, the cops got there, they found it suspicious. They asked me to step out. They searched me because they were going to put me in the back of the police car and they got to search it. I didn't take the credit cards out of my pocket. And basically, it seemed weird that I had the credit cards. It seemed like I was going to, why do you get the credit cards? I don't know, I just picked them up and put them in my pocket. There was no reason, They were looking for a reason. I didn't have one to give them. I just picked them up. They were laying, spread it out, and, I should have just put them together and just threw them in my grandmother's room on the bed or something, but I didn't, There was trash. There was trash inside the house, trash, and I took it to the burn pit, and I burned it. How I burned it, as I went and I siphoned gas out of the lawnmower, poured it on the bags, but it wasn't that much, or whatever. Fire with the starter fire, and that's how I've had fires there plenty of times before. And my grandfather's been there. We don't.
So you set the trash.
Just set the trash on fire.
So you didn't notice any human remains.
When I got there.
Okay.
When I got there, and you could see twigs sticking up, but I didn't see. If there was a body already sitting in there, I did not know it was sitting in there.
Now you'll really love this part. This is the part of the interview where he gets hit up about those lists that this Einstein made, and you will be able to tell by how much thought has gone into his answer how brilliant our Neinstien actually is.
Now, they searched your mobile home, where you live, and they said they found to-do lists that say 3 to the list, not all finished. The last one was finished. And the top of each list was kill Mrs. D. Can you explain that to me? It said kill Mrs. D, take Jeep, get gas, and a few find PIN numbers for the cars that you had.
Oh, she forgot to say about the blind, deaf, dumb, drunk chick.
I can't explain that at all. I don't know where they came up with that or what, you know.
Do you live alone?
I live alone by myself. I don't have any roommates. Don't want to put up with that, you know.
Right. So you don't know how that got
I don't know how that got there. I didn't write anything. I don't even remember having a pencil or pen to write with. But no, I did not do that. That's lie. That's bogus. That's fucking somebody made that up.
Pure Einstein.
I love them with all my heart and I care about them, but I don't know how to show it.
Or think or fillet fish or even comprehend what you've done to that whanau. That pretty much brought the interview to an end, which is about the same as this video. But first, this is what happened to him. Now, here's the thing, and it is just my opinion. And being a Kiwi, it may not mean that much in the grand scale of things, but it is mine. And what's that opinion on? Well, old Neinstien here was facing the death penalty. But in 2012, the prosecution gave him a deal that if he pleaded guilty to murder 1, that they would take the death penalty off the table, that he'd get life without parole in prison. So young Neinstien leapt at the chance. Now, I'm actually for the death penalty in certain cases with our DCs, but in my opinion of giving the death penalty, I have to be absolutely sure, and that is beyond a reasonable doubt, with practically no doubt that that DC did the deed. Because for whatever reason, there seems to be some mistake sometimes, so it's one of those things that you just don't want to make a mistake on. So that's one point, you just got to be sure. And secondly, I believe that it should be up to the whanau. It should be up to the family on what the call is when it comes to the death penalty. I say that if the law says that we shouldn't take the law into our own hands and become these vigilante type people, then the law should respect the wants of the people, mainly family members of who was taken from them. And this case with this Neinstien is an example of the opposite of that happening. You see, Doris's whanau wanted the death sentence, wanted to put this DC to death, which is fair enough. And for me, in my opinion, I think it's bullshit that the prosecution gave this DC the deal, so therefore they wouldn't have to do all the work about taking it to trial, because it wasn't as if they were going to lose. And for me, that is a massive disrespect towards Doris's whanau. But then again, it is only my opinion. Now, that does bring us to the end of this episode of Dumb Criminal on our channel. I do hope you found it entertaining. I know what I do isn't for everyone, but for those who get it, I am so happy to have found you all. And if you did, please give us a like. And if you know anyone that's into true crime, if you could do us a favour and share it with them, show them maybe they've got, kind of warped sense of humour that apparently we all have. And if you haven't already subscribed, then please do that as well. Become one of the DC subbies, the OG ones at the present time. And to the OGs, the OG ones, and to the DC patrons, I'll see all you cats next time in the next episode. And for the OG patrons, I shall see you boys and girls a little bit sooner. So until then, stay safe. Stay safe, everyone. And go kiss your grandma. Go kiss your grandma, because you only get a couple of them in your lifetime. So, kind of look after them, because they really are special. Anyways, God bless. And God bless Doris Babcock, because God knows we need more people like her in our world.